welcome back to my YouTube channel, Flowering On Together. So this interview is with my fabulous friend Davinder Madaher. So he is a textile designer, artist, motivational speaker, all-round amazing person. He has his own kind of business, he does freelance, he's lectured, like you name it, he's done it. And also I kind of know him because he started teaching floral painting in our workshop. So I really hope you enjoy this interview. I love talking to Davinder. He is just so inspirational. So today we are flowering on together with a fabulous friend of mine, Davinder. So thank you so much, Davinder, for joining me here.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here talking to you and in this crazy time. I think, we've got so used to having Zoom or Skype and, it is a little bit weird, but you just got to go with the flow and that's what.
Absolutely. And I've just missed conversations with people like about flowers or about life or about business, and it's just so good to actually see people that I would normally see in real life or people I would perhaps travel to meet.
Yeah, I mean, I have Caroline Skypes with mum and dad all the time, and I've got friends that I Skype with, and then as you know I also do Instagram live on a Thursday sometimes. So I've been chatting. I've just had a Skype yesterday with Sandra Rhodes, which is brilliant. She's so amazing. She's so down to earth. She's in her 80s and she's in her amazing apartment in London. And we just talked, I felt like I could just talk to her for all day. She was so down to earth and
amazing.
And we talked about, Freddie Mercury, her travels in America, Diana Ross, some funny stories, all her costumes and designs. And we talked a lot about mothers because that's been a big influence in her life and mine. And it's just really great. So, I'm quite used to just talking on a Zoom. So it's all good, we just do
So tell because I know you and adore you and adore your work and everything. But tell me how would you describe what you do in your life?
Right. So for me, I feel like I've got lots of hats on. What I don't like is when people are limited or have certain titles, or I'm just a teacher, or I'm just this or that. For me, I've come to a point where I'm a lot of things. And so I describe myself as a textile designer, as an artist, also as a father, a husband, a motivator, public speaker, a teacher. So really, I don't try and confine myself into a box. I feel like I'm a lot of things depending on what day it is or what situation it is. And because every day is different, before lockdown, every day was different. So it depends what day it is and what hat I need to wear on that day. So I'm a lot of things. I just don't like to define myself into one thing because I don't think we all are. I think we're all got many things,
Definitely, absolutely. So tell me about your journey. How you so at the moment you're living in a fabulous Otley in West Yorkshire, which is where we met. But tell me how you your journey through life, school, and then how did you get to be where you are?
Right. So basically, do you know what? So I was actually going to be a social worker.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not, back in the days, I was doing a YTS, a youth training scheme, and I remember that was that school. And then it was deciding whether I want to do my A levels and go on. And so I had two options, and I ended up doing my A levels, and I knew I was quite artistic, so I ended up doing my A levels, and I did photography and just maths and all that. And so I just went on sixth form, did that, and then I went on to do a foundation in Winchester Art School, and it was brilliant. I actually loved. I often talk about the kids. I grew up in quite a rough neighbourhood. I grew up in the inner city. I didn't grow up in Otley. I grew up in Southampton, and in fact Channel 4 did a documentary on the street that I grew up on, and
Oh my God.
unfortunately there was a big uproar about it, and they ended up just doing one series on the documentary. But it was in a tourist area called Derby Road in Southampton, and so I grew up there, and so it was very colourful, you know. It was a very colourful neighbourhood. And then, so I did that, and I went to Winchester, and then I went on to Brighton, University of Brighton, and I ended up specialising in textiles and fashion with business studies, which, if I'm honest, I'm still learning business, but, you know, I'm not good at maths. And that was really, it was a 4-year degree, and I had an amazing time. I had a year out, so I got to go and work in London. I worked in Lyon for 3 months, and I lived in New York as a placement, and I did live in New York after, but I was there for 4 months. And some of those friends, I mean, I graduated, over about 30 years ago, and I still have those friends that I did a placement with in Paris. I'm sorry, in Lyon, and I often see them in Paris because they're in Paris, and I go to Paris twice a year.
Amazing.
And I feel like that's what I love about life. It's just that you meet so many interesting people, and obviously I met Caroline, my wife, in New York, because after I graduated, I got a job up in Leicester, sorry, not Nottingham, designing for a supplier for M&S. And after that, I then left, and I actually ended up teaching for about 3 years. I moved back to Southampton, and I actually lived on a farm.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, I lived on a farm. I know people just go, what? And I'm like, yeah, because for me at the time, I just didn't want to go back home, because I flew the nest at 18.
Right.
And to go back was challenging. I felt like I was going backwards. But to have some independence, I actually ended up living with friends of mine for a year on a farm. And then I got a flat, and I didn't go back home. I didn't want to go back home. I just wanted to have my independence. And I ended up teaching, and taught GMVQ level, and then I went up. Then I was at head of textiles on an access course at Portsmouth University. So I ran that module for nearly, I think about 2 years or so, and then I just packed it all in and went off to New York. I just thought life is too short, so let's go back to New York, because obviously I'd been there.
Yeah.
And I just thought, right. So I went out there for a month, did a lot of networking, because I'm a big networker, like yourself.
Yeah.
And it's all about networking. And I ended up getting a visa. And so I went back out there and lived there for 7 years, working in a design studio. I had a great time, Sarah. I mean, I've been back in the UK, 15, 16 years, and we still obviously have friends there. A lot of people have moved out of New York. Some of my British friends that I have there have moved back to the UK. It's quite a transient city.
Yeah, I got that vibe about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and but I had the best time. I met some amazing people. I had the best costume fancy dress parties in the East Village. I made amazing friendships, and of course I met Caroline, who's on this side of the office. It's her area, and this is my area, as you can see, with the prints and the flowers and stuff. So yeah, life is such an adventure. I just think life is too short, and if you don't do it, you might regret it. So
I didn't realize, like, I was supposed to be a social worker as well. I didn't realize that.
Really?
Yeah. And I've also taught at college. I taught floristry at college. I used to teach BTEC. And I'm terrible at maths, so we've got a lot in common.
Yeah, we creatives, but the thing is, now, I'm back in, I moved back to the UK. I work for George, as in Asda George, and I managed to design this. And I'll be honest, it was a very difficult time, because we went from New York, moved back to the UK, and we got married, and we moved back to the UK, and then I was in this corporate environment where I'd gone from like freelance to corporate, having to work in a team of like 13, 15 designers and then manage all their print requirements. And at that time, and I don't know as there is now, but it was a global company. So they didn't just have the UK market. We had like Japan and other countries in Europe and stuff. So it was a challenge. And then I left there, worked for a supplier, a kids wear supplier, and then I ended up freelancing for 7 years. And I worked with loads of companies. Like I did swimwear, nightwear, lingerie at Next. I did some freelance work for Debenhams. I worked for like Tesco's. I set up my own print studio with Caroline. So the thing with that was I was flying to New York to sell the prints, but then we had our first child. And I think, as you know, your life and your priorities change when you have children. And I remember just being in Times Square, and I remember phoning Caroline, and Times Square have a live camera, so she could actually see me from the UK.
That's crazy.
I know. There's a live camera near TF. I mean, I don't know if it's still there, but Thank God It's Friday restaurant, and there's a live camera, and I remember waving to her, and she could see me. It was just, and I just realised like this is not what I want to do. So I went back and got a freelance work at Next, and then worked for other companies before getting a full-time job at Sainsbury's as a senior print designer, because I was freelancing for them, and I got that job, and the only reason why I got it was because I just wanted a mortgage, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but it's a stepping stone, isn't it? You do what you do to get the next bit that you want in your life. You know, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, and then so I worked there, and the team was very small at the time. I think we had about 7 or 8 people, and then I was there for 6 years and expanded to what it is now, to clothing, and you know, it's a big corporate machine. You know, you've got press, you've got a big design team, you've got menswear, women's wear, you've got homeware. I mean, it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. I think for me, people would say to me, "Oh, Davinder, what's your favourite design?" And if I'm really honest, I don't actually have one. I think the first time I was like, "Wow," with my prints was actually when I did some freelance work at Next on homeware, and it was only because I worked with my old boss, and she happened to bump into me, and I was freelancing at the time, and she said, "Would you do a tropical print?" And I said, "Sure." And I'd never done homeware before. And then I remember at Next they have almost like a shop within their company, and on the front was my tropical print on absolutely everything, and I was like, wow. And it was on towels, deck chairs, melamine, knives and forks, picnic set, which I think we still have that.
Have you bought stuff in the past, or like, you know, taken bits to like remember?
Yeah, I think after a while you stop collecting, because you know, I mean,
with like magazines that we've been in, after a while I'm like, I don't need that anymore.
No, I mean, I've got stuff on my website, and I have collected a lot of magazines and press, because it's really important to collect those. I've just done some work with Wilco's last year, and now, because it takes about a year for it to come out, it's just recently come out. So if you ever go to Wilco's, there's a lemon print. That's what I've done, and it's on. At the moment, it's on like tea towels and cushions for the garden, outdoor cushions, and then I did some tile prints to go on ceramics.
Wow.
So for like, you know, like bowls, for like, you know, I mean, they're actually really, I'm not just saying it because they are actually really, really nice. And so that's really nice. So I've always had stuff in, and I've worked with other retailers online, like JD Williams. I've done women's wear for them. So it's different. So some days it's homeware, some days it's women's wear. But deep down, I really am a women's wear print designer, I think.
I think that's
Yeah.
where you're going then. You're going to go into that kind of going into fabric prints and your own stuff.
Well, actually, me and Caroline are working on a new collection. I mean, as you know, we've been doing embroidery designs, which you can see over here, which have done really, really well. You can see that one there is the Dahlia Bloom. That was our first print. And what's interesting is my hand painting is on the embroidery, but it's really Caroline's. She's very detailed, which I'm not, if I'm really honest.
Yeah,
So sometimes it's a little, we have to have our little, compromises, because she's all about the detail.
I've just been thinking, like, it's interesting. A few of the people that I've interviewed in this series of like flowering on together, a lot of people work with their partners. It's quite interesting to see like their families and how people, you choose that lifestyle. So you've chosen a lifestyle to work, when you're setting up a business together.
Well, the ironic thing is, if you think I met Caroline in New York, we were working together before we even got together, if that makes sense. We were just working in a company on similar projects. And so back then I was doing machine and hand embroidery. I don't just paint, I can use the sewing machine. It's been a while. But so that's how we met. And then all these years later, we moved back, we had the children. Caroline was really a full-time mom. And I decided, and that's fine. And I said, well, I'll do work and get the corporate jobs and what have you. And now for the last couple of years, I suppose, on and off, we've been kind of, we saying that we have worked on and off together, but now I think it's more, we're building our brand, Madaher, and obviously we've been doing those embroideries, but I can't show you at the moment, but I've got a collection of new prints that I'm working on, and embroideries and notebooks and cushions, I think.
Oh, amazing.
Because that's the beauty of, these prints here. I can just put that on anything. So, but we are doing it as a collection, but I think realistically it probably won't come out till probably like towards the end of June, because we're getting sampling done. I'm looking at tote bags as well.
Get them for Christmas. Get them for the Christmas market.
Oh, we've got plans for Christmas that I can't even tell you. We are, oh my goodness, we have got some really exciting stuff for Christmas, which I need to work on as well, because of the timing. But
how are you finding the balance of working? Obviously, like, we're filming this now in lockdown situations, so we're all at home and not out and about. And how are you finding it, kind of being able to concentrate with like children and life and like mental life?
It's hard, when you're a parent. When they go to school, it's great. I just have me, myself, and Caroline, and sometimes she's been working in a part-time job. So it's great, I can just get on. But now, when you've got the children around you 24/7, it's actually not that easy. And I think it's been difficult for everyone because everyone's used to their routine. But now it's, even though I'm quite a sociable person and I love people and I love meeting people, I actually really like my own space. And then everyone has to get adjusted to being in the house a lot of the time, the school work, and communicating with the children about how long this is going to be. And it's not been easy. And I think everyone, let's be honest, I think everyone's had a really hard time. I don't think it's, you're not seeing your family, we're not seeing the grandparents. I think that's been really difficult for the children, and we miss them, and it's been hard, and we've had lots of tears. We've had some very difficult conversations about what's going on, and with everything that's going on in the world, it can seem like there's never going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, but there will be. And I try and be, we will be getting there, because we have to be optimistic and we have to pursue and do the things that we're still doing. So, at the moment the kids are downstairs, I'm here editing my video with Zandra Rhodes. And then I know she's so nice. And then I've got some other emails to do, and I've got some other designing to do. I just keep going.
I found it quite like a typical week in your life. You'd be here, there, and everywhere, wouldn't you, generally? And
Yeah.
that's how have you found in terms of like inspiration? So we work together because we've done obviously we grow flowers and we've done flowers and stuff, and that our brands align beautifully there, don't they, when you've been teaching?
Yeah, we've done workshops. Yeah. So I mean, at the moment, I'm keeping, which is what I said to students, and it was so great talking to Zandra because she's an artist and she always keeps a sketchbook, and I keep loads of these. So I've got so I've been sketching, like watching, like that was last night, just watching.
Oh my gosh.
Watching TV, and I'm setting myself little goals to do. I did this last night as well, watching a program, and it's just a simple A5 sketchbook, and also obviously usually I mean, we're here in Yorkshire, it's beautiful, we've got a communal garden, I've got absolutely hundreds of photographs on my phone. Obviously got the internet, but really it's my photography that I sort of use for inspiration. I've been painting in the garden. I've been just keeping a sketchbook, thinking about ideas. And I think for me the challenge has been that I'm been in such a corporate way of working that I think Caroline said to me the other day, you need to uncorporate yourself. So my design process, when I do collections, it's very the way it's set when you work in a corporate company. But at the moment, I have all the freedom.
Yeah.
So I'm having to unlearn. I know it sounds crazy, even though I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm having to unlearn certain things and try new things. So I'm trying different mediums. I'm not always looking at trends. It's good to know about trends because that's what we do when we work in these companies. But to make yourself original, you have to find originality in yourself. And that's why Zandra Rose, for example, her stuff is so unique because she's not looking at trends. She's just looking at her sketchbook and past collections she's done. And she's in her 80s and she's still inspired. And I think that's
all of us. I hope that's you and I when we're in our 80s. I hope we're still doing this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Seriously, I'm not slowing down. Like, I've got too much to do. I've still got too much. We've been watching Travel Around the World. It's about these couples that travel around the world. And then I love it, absolutely love it. And the things that I talk about with my children and with Caroline and as a family, we talk about the things that we're going to do after this is over, what we're going to do next year, where we want to travel to. And I have to remind myself constantly those things because they are the part of the driving force of what I do and want to do and want to achieve. I don't ever say to my kids, this is where you're going to stay. I mean, we love Otley and it's lovely, but I want them to have a global vision because me and Caroline travelled and we lived abroad, and I expect them to do the same. I never say.
Same with my daughter keeps coming. Mummy, can we go to Malibu? Mummy, can we go here? Mummy, can we go see a snake in the wild? Yeah. I'm like, we can do all these things. Yes, let's do it. And I think now we're trapped. I've got a family in Tanzania, and now we're trapped at home. And I thought, oh, maybe we'll go see them at some point. And I'm like, well, that's a goal now. And I want to go see them again.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to see beyond what's going on, and I think it's really important that you remind yourself. And sometimes it's not easy, but you've got to just every day get up and go, right, today's a new day. It may feel like a Groundhog Day, but you've got to. I mean, I freelance, as you know, so my work all dried up, and if it wasn't for these embroidery kits, I don't know what I'd be doing. And so at the same time, it's also an opportunity for me to develop a collection and to experiment. So
Oh,
I
I'm so
think it's about,
excited for you. So excited.
yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it's all about mindset, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
it's all about how you perceive yourself. I mean, I work with a lot of students and I talk a lot about motivation and I talk a lot about doing the things that you want to do. And then I meet someone like Sandra Rhodes, who's in her 80s, and I'm not a spring chicken myself. And I just think, well, she's still got big plans and she's got loads of things in exciting plans happening next year. And she's in her 80s. And I just think I'm so inspired. So we have to inspire ourselves always.
Always. I love the fact that you've got your sketchbook with you all the time. I think I've got some notebooks that are kicking around, but I think that's a really good tip for other people, is to always just have that book to look at and have it to write something.
Yeah, just pull it out and just sketch or write your ideas. I've got a few of these, and
You have.
I just
That's a library.
I love a good sketchbook. I love books. Period. I just love books. I'm going through my books as well. We've got a library here of textile books, and on my Instagram the other day, I think it was a Sunday, I just pulled out my big book on Rajasthan because that's one place that I'm aiming to go.
Yeah, I'd love to go there.
I know, and I just interviewed a guy called Jatinder Sandhu who lives in Delhi, but he's was born in Rajasthan, and I was saying to him, that's where I want to go. And so that's my vision at some point, to go with the family and to go out there. And you've got to dream. You've got to dream.
Yeah, make it. And what's that? There's that quote, isn't it? If you like write it down, it becomes a plan.
Yeah. If you write it down and if you visualize it, me and Caroline have been talking about, and also with the kids, been talking about vision boards. So you've got to have a vision board as well. And I can't find it. We've got to actually, let me just pull this, hang on. So this is my adventure fund.
Awesome.
And in it, the children and I have all written the things that we like to do in the future.
Oh, I love that idea.
And then we just pull it out. Caroline pulled some of these out yesterday, and they've come true. There's still a lot of pennies to collect, but it's a fun thing to do for the children, because then it's like, do you remember when we wrote this? And we wrote this like probably about 6 months ago. So it's heavy now, but it's a good thing to do with the children, and it's a good thing to do for yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We started like we were writing it on a whiteboard, like when we can go, where we're gonna list, and we've got a family in Scotland, so we're like, right, Scotland and Formentera, because we were supposed to be going on holiday there, and that's like where we've gone the past few years, and we're like, right, these are the places, But yeah, I'm missing Harlow Car as well. Are you? Beautiful RHS garden.
Wow, I've heard that I think they're opening. I think they are opening, and I think you have to book yourself in. A bit like, obviously, we're members of National Trust as well, and I think the whole thing is, you have to book. And I mean, Harlow Car is heaven for me. It's my little go-to place for inspiration, peace. It's just this little. I mean, there's a lot of great places in and around Yorkshire.
Harlow Car, though, like it's an RHS garden, isn't it? And it's got big sweeping borders that are so beautiful, and they're like manicured and all the different colours. And I've just got endless pictures on my phone of flowers all the time. Endless pictures on my phone from Harlow Car of all the different combinations of planting, and then the shadows and everything. Like as you walk around, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I miss the Harlow Car. It's and so I think we are, and obviously Betty's. Tea.
I think Betty's has been mentioned in every one of these videos that I've done.
Have they? Well, Betty's, come on. Hopefully, even if you just do distant, just get a tea and a biscuit or a cake or something, because what's my favourite? It's got the face in it. The rascal. That's my favourite.
Yeah.
Cup of tea from Betty's and a fat rascal, and I'm happy as Larry. That's me.
Honestly,
I'm
I think Betty's has been mentioned in every interview of these YouTube ones that I've done. Hilarious.
happy.
Yeah.
Well, they need to open, but yeah. So when that opens, I will be going there, and I think it is open. We'll just have to check the website, but yeah, I just have to go there for inspiration, and obviously we've got a nice garden. Our neighbour looks after, and I just me. I just love painting. Just
And colour, like that silk scarf. Is it silk scarf behind you?
yeah. So the reason why I put this up is because I had Sandra. I've got lights as well here as well, because I need to actually let me see if they work. Oh yeah, there you go. So let me just pull the screen up. There you go.
Yay!
So I've got my lights on. They change colour.
You get the award for the jazziest background.
Well, I actually collect vintage scarves, and the reason why that one's up is because yesterday I was wearing, because I was speaking to Xander Rhodes, so I put my Indian pink scarf on, I had a pink t-shirt, everything's pink. I've got Rihanna here in pink, pink, and I've got some Indian influence as well. So it changes, but I don't often share. There's certain things I do share on Instagram, but one thing that I don't often share is because it's my little go-to. So I actually have a whole collection of vintage scarves there, and I don't often share those because they're my little. That's just for me,
yeah,
and for my inspiration. So whenever I travel abroad or wherever, I always buy vintage handkerchiefs or
yeah, I've got
scarves.
quite a few. When I was growing up, my mum was an art teacher, and when I was growing up, we had a lot of just like scraps of fabric, and then
Yeah.
people like 20s dressing gowns and like scarves and all that kind of thing. So I've got quite a few as well. I used to wear them a lot. I used to wear them and have like colour on me all the time, but I've got out of the habit of it. I think now we're in lockdown and I've got the grey. I think I need to start wearing them.
Well, one great accessory for women is scarves, or even for men. I mean, I've got this on. You don't have to buy an expensive outfit. You can just jazz it up with a great
Yeah,
scarf, and
absolutely.
you can wear it on your head or around your neck, or so if it's one thing and you haven't got a lot of money and you think, well, I'm in lockdown, I'm not going, buy yourself a fabulous scarf, order it online.
Journaling. This is what I'm taking. Journaling, scarves. Next time you see me. I mean, I did used to wear them loads. I have got loads, and I've got
Well,
like bits of Liberty, anything Liberty, little.
Well, do you know, the thing is, I think when you're in lockdown, you get so used to, or even when you're freelance, I'm so used to sitting here at this desk when sometimes I'm out, and I have a whole wardrobe of printed shirts, and I've been recently wearing them to make more of an effort.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at work. So we've ordered some new jeans for myself. I've got a patchwork denim project that I've got to work on. And I've got these trousers that I'm going to sew African fabrics onto, patchwork them. Yeah, so I haven't done that for a while, so they're just sitting there. And we did a project with my son, so he cut up some two shirts, and then he put them all together. So we're doing like little projects like that.
Yeah, brilliant.
Because he can. Well, we're there to oversee what he's doing, but he's really into his fashion. I mean, he's 12, and it says my daughter, she's into her fashion, which is great. I love it. I love it. I love.
They're going to pick it up. It's like osmosis, isn't it? Like being around all the colour and the texture and.
Well, they've got their own style. They've got their own individual style. So I just try and encourage them. And
when you were growing up, because like as I said, my parents are art teachers. So when I was my dad was had his own business and stuff, so he was always working, and then my stepdad and my mum are like into art and everything, and so we got dragged around art galleries and exhibitions, and there was always like scraps of fabric and books and all these amazing things around. So I just I tried to avoid it as long as I could, and then eventually that's who I am. Do you know what I mean? Because it's there. But when you were growing up, was it the same? Was like with your family into?
No.
Like the
Not at all. The opposite, because obviously, I mean, a lot of families can be like this, but coming from a predominantly Asian family, it's not really. My mum didn't want me to go to art. I think it was only when she bought me a sewing machine when I was 17, I knew that she kind of accepted that maybe Davinder is going to go and do art,
Yeah.
or something creative, because I think a lot of parents, and even now, I mean, I've lectured and I've heard stories of parents taking their young kids to university or to do a foundation, and then say, right, you've done now, but you're not, that there's no career in it, so they've just totally killed their dreams, which I find shocking, and sad. But I've heard this just quite recently, and so for me, it wasn't really encouraged, but it was just the only thing that I knew, and I knew I was going to do it. I didn't know I was going to go into fashion and textiles, but I knew I was going to do something creative. And I also had this funny story growing up where my brothers are quite sporty, and they had all their like trophies of like table tennis, football, rugby, whatever, cricket, and then amongst them was this one little plaque. And I still remember it today. I was 16 and I'd won a painting competition, and it's on the plaque, and I was just so happy because that's the only thing I'd ever won. And yeah, so it was really, I knew I was going to just do it, but it wasn't really encouraged. But I've been doing it for nearly 30 years, so I must be doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just never. That's why I encourage my kids, like, and other people that I meet, just do what you want to do. Don't let your dreams, pass by. I was working for a certain corporate company, and I remember being at the photocopier, and I was scanning a painting for design, and I remember a graduate who'd been out of university for about 2 to 3 years thing, and she said to me, "Oh, I've stopped painting," and my heart just sank, because I was like, that's so sad. And I appreciate that the pressure for her maybe was, there's no jobs, there's no this, there's no. So she gave up and ended up going into a different department. Whereas for me, I just find that so sad, and I can never do that. I can never do that.
It's in you. It's the same, and it's quite a lot of florists that I know who are, successful florists as well. That it's in you. Like, I have to do flowers. Like this arrangement yesterday, I had to make this for me. It wasn't for anyone else. It was just, I saw the flowers, I had to put those colours together. And it'd be the same for you. You have to have a sketchbook because you see something and you have to physically draw it. It's like an inbuilt addiction, but it's also healing at the same time, isn't it? And it's also,
it is
a livelihood out of that passion. Then it's bloody amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Caroline is lost and hours of embroidery. Whereas for me, if I'm sitting and painting at a kitchen table, I could just paint all day. But I think it's also just making that time to do it as well, because you can get so caught with family and homework and what have you. So it's just finding that sort of balance. But I don't know about you, Sarah, but I'm an early bird, so I can get up really early, and that's
I'm completely the opposite.
Oh, are you? Oh, I can't stay up late.
One or the other. That's it. I would rather like stay up all night and get something done and go to bed with it done. Do you know what I mean? Than get up early.
Yeah, I can't do that. I've got to get up early, and it's quiet. There's no one about. It's just me and a cup and my Yorkshire tea.
Your Yorkshire tea.
My Yorkshire tea, and I'm happy. That's the first thing I do when I get up. Is the first thing I do is go downstairs and make myself a cup of tea, Yorkshire tea, and I'm set for the day.
So when if you're in your like in your world and you're painting and you're doing your work and stuff, what's your snack? Like, what's your snack of choice that keeps you going?
I'm really addicted to chocolate biscuits. So I don't know about you, Sarah, but we've gone through more packets of biscuits and chocolates and snacks
Yeah,
than
yeah,
I've had hot curries. I mean, I've eaten a lot of curries in my life,
yeah.
but seriously, I mean, we've had. So for me, it's I love dunking a chocolate biscuit in in a cup of tea, and it doesn't have to be fancy. It can just be the Sainsbury's basic, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just so Moorish, and
I think it's
so
all at home more. That's why, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm putting weight on. I'm not, I'm not. Well, I'm trying to run, but yeah. So chocolate biscuits is a must for me. Or if Caroline makes any cake,
Oh yeah,
then
nice.
I'll eat that. So I've got quite a sweet tooth, if I'm honest. And I've got quite a lot of fillings, which I have to remind the children that if they eat too much, then your teeth are going to look like dad's, which is all silver inside. So
God help us. So if you have any advice to, so generally, like I think like your advice is just like go for it, live your dreams, isn't it?
I'm going to put the light on, Sarah. It's gotten a bit. That's better. Sorry, it's got a bit dark. So it's gone a bit cloudy. I can see that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So for the future, then, if you like future to be like a textile designer or to have your own business, like what's your future advice to people then?
I think you have to follow your dreams. I think you have to always dream and one. And it's ironic. Just speaking to Zandra yesterday, she said the same thing, and I totally agree. And that is, there are going to be people out there that are going to think you're crazy. Don't do that. Don't follow your dreams, or really should you do that? They put these like little darts of like doubt, and I feel like you should always follow your dreams and pursue the things that you want to do, because for me, and yourself, you've got a creative career, and when as you know, I do a lot of talks at universities, and I have two slides that I often start off with, and I often ask them, why do you do what you do? And they'll sit there and they'll go, and I'm like, you're investing yourself in a 3-year degree. It's going to cost you money, but why are you doing what you do? And then I show them a slide of, I think it's Route 66, where it's just a straight road that goes into the mountain.
Right.
And there's nothing, it's just all desert, and it's just a straight road. And I say, sometimes you think your life is going to look like this, but then my next slide is a famous spaghetti junction in LA. And and then everyone laughs, because I said, actually, your life is like this. The reality is, your life is like the spaghetti junction, because you start here, but then you want to go here, but you have to go up here to get to there. So life isn't a straight journey, but what you can do is with everything going on, you still have to have your dream, because even if it goes like this, I just think you can do some great stuff. Like you probably don't know this, Sarah, but I've been to India. I've worked with slum children before I left to go to New York, and I worked 2 summers in Bangalore and Mumbai.
Amazing.
I've travelled everywhere. So all I'm saying is, and you've travelled to the States, but your gift, whatever it is, can take you to places that you never even imagined you'd go to, and you could utilize it. Because I don't see what I have. It's just, I'm just a textile designer. That's what I was saying right at the beginning. I'm a lot of things, and one thing is that I have a gift, and that gift has taken me to many places, and hopefully many more in the future, because these hands they're not just for me. My gift isn't just for me. It's to share with other people.
I love that. That's gorgeous. I love it.
It's true, Sarah. I mean, when you do your floral and your what are you've got to see what you're bringing to these people that come to your floral workshops, you're not just, oh, here I am and I'm just doing little flowers. People have invested their time into coming to your workshop, to pay for your workshop, switch off the phone, do all your Instagrams and all that, but switch off the phone and spend a day for themselves
Yeah.
to have an experience. Because I feel like people are seeking more than that's how I find with the floral workshops. They're seeking a time where they can invest in themselves and switch off from just the day-to-day life and come away with a most amazing wreath or a bouquet or a painting or something. They've come away. So what we have is good for the soul, your spirit, your well-being. And I feel like this is where, and I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but I feel like, you know, it is more about that. It's
Yeah.
more about your contributing to someone's life, and they need that right now, or that's why they need it for that day or whatever. So, and I love it when, and you know what it's like when people go away, go, oh my gosh, I had the most amazing day. We made amazing flowers, or I painted amazing flowers. We had cups of tea, homemade cake all day, and you know, the time's gone like that, and but they've gone away happy, and I think that is what, for
That's what
me,
that's about. Yeah, I absolutely agree. You get such a good energy hit from making the flowers, and then a good energy hit from people and watching people, and it's empowering as well. You're empowering people, aren't you?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you need to and that's what we should be doing, empowering ourselves to then be able to empower others. And I feel like even with our brand that me and Caroline are working on, I mean, we've had, like, you know, people come back and go, oh my gosh, I just needed to do that embroidery, I just need that for myself. And so, you know, you're offering more than just, obviously you've got to make a living, but you're offering more than just a product. It's something that they feel well in themselves. And I feel good if I've done a nice painting or I'm happy with it. And now that's why we do this, like even just talking with other creatives or whoever. I mean, I've just done a whole series last 6 weeks. I've got Sue Prike tomorrow. She was on Channel 4 for the ceramic program, I think, where they build the ceramics,
Oh yeah.
a bit like Bake Off, but they make ceramics. So I know Sue because we've worked together in the past, and so I want to find out about her journey. It's not nothing to do with textiles, but I
Yeah.
want to know what makes her tick. How did she get from A to B? What were the ups? What were the downs? What's been the successes? What's been the failures? And
Yeah.
what can you offer, or not offer, but what can you share with people? And the reason why I did this whole series of interviewing people is because I thought, well, what can I give to people that are on my Instagram, who are predominantly women and who are predominantly students?
Mm.
And I thought, well, I know a few people I can ask. Hence, I got to talk to Sandra Rhodes, which was just like, I'm just going to reach out. I'm going
Yeah.
to reach out to
Well,
her.
I think nowadays, like, and that's why I wanted to talk to people that I find inspiring, and like ask them about them and how they got to, you know, how do they do their general life and how they got to it. Because but it is so much easier now because of social media. Obviously you do a lot of social media, and so do I, and it's easy
Yeah.
to connect to people, isn't it? It's easy to get that, you know, that conversation started, whereas before, you know, with when it's just a phone or an email or a letter that can be ignored, now it's so much easier.
Well, it is, and also it's global. So, you know, I was speaking to Jatinder the other week, live from Delhi. I mean, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning for him, I think, and he's a shoe designer. I'm sorry, he's a menswear designer, but I might have to interview him again because he had these amazing shoes that he designs, and they're amazing. And also the whole thing with social media is it is visual. I can see your flowers, you can see my work.
Yeah.
So even though we're not in the same room, and you know we're not in the same in the same room, but whether you're the other side of the world, it doesn't really matter because social media opens up this
Absolutely.
conversation and
Absolutely. And
this
I'm
platform.
that scarf behind you. I'm like coveting that beautiful scarf. It's just
And
colour. It's just, I think it ultimately it just comes down to like just want to be around beautiful colour. That's it, don't we? We just want to be around beautiful things and make beautiful things and watch people get happy doing it.
yeah, you just want to be happy. Color makes you happy. Sketching makes you happy. People. You know, it's to me, to be honest, Sarah, it's just really about people. You know, I mentioned about being a social worker, but really, it, my social work is through what I do
Yeah.
because it's all about people. It's never really. I I just see this. I just see, you know, a paintbrush or my sketchbook as a vehicle to reach other people, and and I've had the opportunity to connect with so many people. You know, I've been part of Graduate Fashion Week. I've been a judge there. You know, I've met people like Gok Wan and obviously Sandra Rose. And I'm not saying that to name names, but it's just opened up avenues to talk to other people. But I'm as happy here, you know, and talking to just students, you know, don't have to be a celebrity. Just talk to anyone, really. Because I never put people on pedestals, Sarah. You see, I've if you know me, like if you ever saw me working in a corporate company, I am the same with the cleaner,
Yeah.
the receptionist, the security person, to the CEO. And I remember, this is a really funny story, but I remember going to a London press show for a certain retailer that I worked for, and mentioning their names, and and the CEO was walking down the stairs, the bigwig of the company, you know, and I was just like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" You know, he's like, "How's it going up there?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's fine." You know, and I said, "Yeah, there's loads of people, loads of press," and I was with two young ladies that were buyers, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you know, so you just said hi to the CEO," and I'm like, well, yes, because he's no different
Yeah.
to anybody else. But I feel like sometimes people put this, you know, even with Sandra Rose, yes, I mean, I do, like, I admire her and she's amazing, but I found that she's actually really down to earth. I mean, maybe some people are obnoxious and what have you, and that's them. However, I didn't find that with her. I didn't find that with this CEO, just a normal person.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I try and treat people equally because I don't ever want to put them on a,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, so
Oh,
we must always treat people the same,
it's so
you know.
lovely talking to you.
Ah, it sounds good talking to you. When this is all over, we'll all get together and, you know, in the park or
Yeah,
have
we'll
a cup of
eat,
tea. And
have a cup of tea, fight rascals, Caroline can bake.
she can so bake. She's so good.
Married
But
one.
but yeah. So what are your plans now? Like, obviously, with all this going on, like
So
how
we're just looking at different things really. We're getting into some, obviously all the weddings are pretty much moved to next year. So we're looking at merchandise, bits and bats of doing some merchandise with pictures of flowers that I've taken. So yeah, looking at that kind of stuff really. And then looking at sending boxes out. So like floral boxes. So
yeah, they're great.
yeah, so we can do like tutorials on how to put things together. So yeah, so that's the plan. Maybe some dried flowers and then some fresh, like a flower club, Leafy Couture flower club, I want to call it.
Yeah, do it. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, I think when something like this, like lockdowns happen, I think it does get you really creative and, you know, and really creative, get your juices going. And I feel like you're almost forced to do it because you never had to think about it before.
Yeah, that's
And
it. Absolutely.
we're in the same boat. I mean, you know, we're designing packaging, our labels, our boxes, where you know, the embroidery kits go out to. I'm thinking about the cushions, the tote bags, the labels. How do I want this to work? But if I didn't have this time I'd probably just be chasing the freelance work because
Yeah.
right now it's not there for me. So, I've got to still live and make money, and
That's it, the same here. And it makes you, I think it just makes you, like we are saying before, like choosing the way you want to work as well, like that hamster wheel of constantly doing it all the time. And then now we've got that freedom to a certain extent to kind of think, right, well, actually, what do I want to do? Do I want to do this? Was this part of the dream? Was this part of the dream? And so it makes you go back to what was your actual initial dream, because it's hard to get when you're self-employed and you're just like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. And then, do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, you do. And I think like sometimes you just get stuck in a rut. And I think it also makes you evaluate what's really important.
Yeah.
What is your priorities? Who do you want to spend time with? What do you need to say no to? And what are your dreams? And all those things are just really, really important, because I want to read more, I want to sketch more, I want to travel more. And by watching these programs, by talking about them, by sharing these ideas about putting vision boards together, writing in your diary, it's all part of you getting ready for the next step. Because I feel like the world will be obviously a different place even next year, but you still have to have your goals and your dreams. There's so many people I really want to meet, and there's so many places I want to go to. And I think for me, Sarah, I don't know about you, but it's just it's just leaving a mark. It's just connecting.
Yeah.
And I'm done with the corporate running around churning out designs for the follow this, for that. And and I think because we live in an uncertain world, you've got to make it yourself. I mean, I've watched interviews even with Edward Enninful from Vogue editor speaking to Marc Jacobs. YouTube have got a whole program on Vogue conversations. So they're talking to people like Stella McCartney, listening to about what's happening in the environment and sustainability, which is obviously a massive subject. But even they don't know. Like even Marc James, like, well, I don't know what next year's going to look like. We may not have catwalk shows next year. It might just all be online. I've had a lot of really unhappy students. Hence, I've done all my speaking engagements on Instagram Live.
Yeah.
Being demotivated, going, "Oh, what's the use? What's the point?"
Yeah.
But you have to remind them that there is a point. That there is stuff to do, that this is not going to be forever. And unfortunately, you may have been in the class of 2020 where you haven't had the catwalk shows, you haven't had those platforms that you want to, but what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to sit there and go, that's it? And I'm not trying to dismiss those feelings, the frustrations. I'm just trying to understand that there's more to this, and this will pass. So I've had students on Instagram, on my Instagram, message me going, Davinder, I've just got a freelance gig, but I don't know what the daily rate is. Or I got one from this amazing, talented young lady from a university saying, what should I tell this client for my daily rate, or what should I pay for this artwork? And I'm just giving
advice
where I can, because that's all I can do for this season. But you've got years ahead of you.
Yeah.
I'm not slowing down. I ain't got time. Sarah, I have not got time to slow down. Listen, I'm 51 and I am still going, and I'm still
saying 51. That's ridiculous.
I keep joking with the children. At first, I was really bad. Oh my gosh, I was 50 last year. But you know what? It doesn't. It's just a number. And I always joke with the kids, like, I might be one of those like mobile scooters with like the disco lights attached to the wheels. Here comes Dad. Here comes Granddad. Like, still going with his paint pot and his sketchbooks. Because life is about living, and I think that's how I've always I just remember, I mean, I know I'm sort of diverting, but recently we did a thing with our church thing where we still meet on a Sunday, but on Instagram. But anyway, they did a whole thing like looking for the keyhole, and I ended up playing my alter ego called Uncle Raju, and I had the hat and everything, and I always joke with my friends as well about having a wig bag. Every house should have a wig bag. Like if you're feeling down, just get the wig bag out and have a laugh. Just have a laugh. And because you see, when I lived in New York, I had costume parties, fancy dress parties every year. Amazing. Like in a bar. So I've still got I've got an Elvis wig. I've Caroline Wentz Blondie. So it's Barbie, and then we've got some other wigs, and I just think that's what it should be, because I remember when I was.
The recommendations are vision board, loads of biscuits,
tea, Yorkshire
tea, and a wig bag. That's it. That's perfect.
Wig bag and disco music.
Oh yeah.
And lights.
And lights.
You've got to have lights. You've got to have lights, because lights just make me happy. Like a
to the parties that we are going to have after this. Bring it on.
But I just remember when I was 9. I think I was about 18 or 19. I remember saying to myself, I will always celebrate my birthday, no matter what happens. I will always celebrate my birthday, because some people don't like their birthdays. Then that's fine. If you're one of those people that just like, don't even talk to me about my birthday because I'm a year older. I'm the opposite. I'm like, yes.
Still here.
Another year has gone and it's been up and down, but I've got another year to go, and I've got hopefully more years to come, because life is for living. So why would I be like down on a number?
Yeah, also cake. So yeah, birthday cake, winner.
So I just think you could just try and remain positive.
Well, thank you for speaking to me.
Well, that's fine. Do you know what? I'm going to take a picture and then I'll put it on Insta, because us. So smile. Let me just see if that's come out all right. Oh yeah, look at that one. Yeah, brilliant.
Oh, bless you. Yay!
So I'll get that on Insta, and but let me know when it's on, Sarah. Just let me know.
I will do. Well, I'll say thank you. Thank you so much, Davinder. You're an absolute star.
Okay.